Hey, what's up guys, it is RB Hardware. In today's video, I'm gonna be showing you how to build the best budget $800 gaming PC for late 2021 and early 2022, featuring one of the best budget CPUs for gaming. I'm going to show you exactly how to build this PC, all PC component choices and why I selected them. I've tested a total of 26 games in Full HD, 1440p and 4K resolution, including ray tracing and CPU benchmarks, to give you guys as much info as possible so that you don't have to go out and research on your own. Now, in case there's any game you want me to include and feature in future benchmarks, make sure to leave it down in the comments down below. And if you want videos more often, please smash the like button, subscribe and turn on the notifications bell so that you know exactly when new content is released. And for the latest and best pricing for each PC part, have a look in the description where you find every item listed. Today I got an $860 build in front of us, featuring a 6-core CPU and a graphics card with enough power to run your favorite game at 1080p, very high graphics. But before we dive deeper into how many frames per second you can expect in your favorite game, let's start having a greater look at the CPU, which is the heart of this gaming PC system. So this is the $199 6-core Ryzen 5 3600, one of the best budget 6-core gaming processors on the market. Now, as can be seen, the 3600 delivers high frame rate and stutter-free gameplay in pretty much any game out there. Now, as we can see, Intel's counterpart, the 11400F, is a few percent faster on average. However, thanks to the fact that the 3600 comes with a CPU cooler that is, quite frankly, much better than Intel's offering, actually makes the Ryzen a more budget-friendly choice. Now, we're gonna be pairing up the CPU with this, the Gigabyte B450M, perhaps one of the best bang for the buck motherboards for Ryzen overall, and a perfect entry to the world of PC gaming. Thanks to decent heatsink and VRMs, it can support even the most recent 6-core Ryzen 5000 CPUs, and so we definitely have some future proofing here as well. Anyway, let's go ahead and open up our CPU box and install our processor. And by now, you guys have probably seen this a couple of times before, but you basically want to pair up the triangle located at the lower left side corner with the triangle on the motherboard socket. Pull back the retention arm, line up the triangles and simply drop the CPU in its socket. Return the metal arm back down again. And that is it for now. For the CPU heatsink, we're gonna opt for the included stock cooler that comes included with our CPU. Now, in terms of temperatures, we see that the cooler is efficient enough and there's definitely nothing to worry about here. No nasty thermal throttling happening whatsoever. Now, installing the heatsink only takes a couple of seconds basically, and really all you have to do is you want to locate the 4 spring screws and you want to make sure that each of these lines up with the corresponding screw hole on the back plate. Thermal paste here guys comes included, so you really don't have to worry about any of that. But since I've been using mine for several PC builds now, I'm gonna have to apply a bit of thermal paste here. Now we can simply just go ahead and secure the heatsink. Next up, we're gonna move on to the system RAM or memory, and here we're gonna opt for this budget kit from Corsair called Vengeance LPX. Now, we do know by now that Ryzen like fast RAM kit, and to hit the Ryzen performance sweet spot, you wanna pick up a kit with a speed of 3200 to 3600, marked CL16. Everything is linked up down below. Pull back the clips for the 2nd and the 4th DIMM slot, and then it's just a matter of sliding both sticks into place. And with that out of the way, we only got one more component to install before we can go ahead and take a look at our case choice. Now, Samsung got us covered here with their new 980 SSD. Now, I am demonstrating on a different device as I don't have the 980 at the studio. You do however find the right one at the best price linked up down below. Once you've done this, you can then go ahead and jump over to the case. This is the H510 from NZXT, perhaps one of the most popular mid-size enclosures in the PC space, and it's quite easy to understand why it's so beloved among PC builders. NZXT has done a great job finding the sweet spot between price, quality and aesthetic, and this is a case that is very easy to build in, and I would happily recommend this to any new PC DIY enthusiast out there. We find two 120 fans included, which is enough for today's PC build, but you can obviously add in a few extra if you feel like. There is room to fit a radiator at the front, and NZXT is offering a variant that includes a small tub that lets you control up to 3 fans in total and customize the coloring of the 2 included LED strips. So we have 2 variants of the H510, selling between $60 and $99, and yeah, I'm demonstrating on the I variant. Anyway, let's go ahead and get rid of the side panel. Once done, before we go ahead and pop in the motherboard, we want to go ahead and install the motherboard I/O shield. Make sure the circular holes are located at the bottom. Now we can just simply slide the motherboard into place and secure it with the included screws. And there are 6 screw holes here in total. And go ahead and grab the power supply and install it with the fan facing downwards. A step-by-step cable management guide is linked up down below. Once we've got all cables hooked up to the motherboard, now we can finally go take a look at our GPU choice. This is the Radeon RX 6600, based on AMD's latest Navi 23 and RDNA 2 architecture with support for DX12 Ultimate and ray tracing. The 6600 mainly targets 1080p gaming, but thanks to 8 gigs of RAM, it can do 4K and especially 1440p quite nice as well when dropping the settings down to medium. Assassin's Creed Valhalla is one example where the 6600 runs perfectly well even at 1440p high settings compared to Nvidia. Every RDNA 2 based GPUs from AMD is actually DX12 Ultimate compatible, and what this means, guys, is that they do support something called ray tracing. That all being said, Nvidia is actually a little bit faster when it comes to ray tracing, and this is simply due to the fact that the RDNA 2 architecture actually marks AMD's first attempt at tackling ray tracing, while Nvidia has been offering ray tracing support for the last 2 GPU generations now, so it is quite reasonable to expect slightly worse performance from Team Red. Taking a look at the gameplay here, on average the 6600 is in most cases a little bit slower compared to the 3060, and this is something, guys, that I want you to have in mind. I actually have a video linked up down below covering 26 games comparing the performance between the 6600 and the 3060. Anyway, spec wise, again, because the 6600 comes with 8 gigs of memory, gaming at 1440p is certainly possible in most games out there. And yes, the Navi 23 GPU and the 6600 isn't the fastest GPU on the market, but it's certainly not a slow GPU. By dropping the settings a bit in your favorite game, 4K gaming is also possible. To give you guys a better idea where the 6600 sits in terms of performance, this is a pretty good overview. Talking about the pricing, the never-ending GPU shortage is unfortunately not over yet, which can make the 6600 quite hard to find at $330 US. However, that basically goes for more or less all GPUs at the moment. That being said, there does seem to be a bigger demand for Nvidia's cards at the moment, and that should make the 6600 easier to find. I'm gonna link up the best deal I can find for you guys down in the description. If you can't seem to find the 6600 in stock, I recommend having a look at the 1650 Super or the 1660, and you find both cards linked up down below. Another alternative worth considering if you want to get away a bit cheaper here is to instead pick up one of AMD's recently released APUs with built-in graphics. Anyway, let's take a look at the gaming performance running a wide range of some of today's most popular games, starting off with 1080p or Full HD, and here you can turn up everything to max and enjoy silky smooth gameplay. For 1440p, I recommend settling for medium settings for most of the games tested, and for 4K resolution, low to medium is where you wanna put your target at. And again, I have a dedicated video showing 1080p, 1440p as well as 4K side by side in 26 games, linked up down in the video description. Now here is what the final part list is looking like, guys. All parts I'm using for today's build. Now this video took me a ton of time to complete, so if you enjoyed it, please smash the like button, that would mean the world to me, and subscribe to never miss any of my future gaming PC builds. Thank you guys so much for watching.